Ladies and gentlemen, joining us tonight, he is 6'12", 15% of a metric ton, and built for viral chaos. The earthquake and meat poppin' giant tearing up your feed and the indie scene. He's Big Trouble Ben Bishop. Ben, welcome to another wrestling podcast.
You know what? Another wrestling podcast, of course, right? I'll give you, I'm going to give you a B+ on the intro. You got it right. Meat popping, jaw dropping, earthquake, and pillar shaking. You could have said as well. I added that last part, though. That got you from like a B up to a B+. So like above average.
All right.
Above average, Steve.
I was typically a B student, so that's
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, that was me too. That's okay.
Well,
look where we are. Look at us now.
Look at
podcast. On a podcast on a Tuesday night. We could be doing a lot of other things, but we're here doing this.
This is the life you live now, Ben. This is it. So get ready for it, man.
Is this the dream? My word.
So, tell me, because right now you're going to be coming up here soon to Poughkeepsie, New York for Awesome Championship Wrestling. May 17th, you're going to be fighting for the National Championship with going against Dante Casanova, the real one, formerly known as Enzo Amore.
I've heard of him.
Landon Hale, and yourself. So how does it feel to be going in a match where you could be crowned the first ever ACW National Champion?
Up in God's country of Poughkeepsie, New York, I get the opportunity to possibly become the first ACW National Champion. And what a list. What a list there. You got Enzo. Now, I know he teaches people, 7 feet tall, talk about that. I'm 6'12". I'm throwing a curveball at that guy first and foremost. And then there's Jaguar, Dante Casanova. Me and him have tussled before down in Florida. We'll bring the action up to New York. A formidable guy. But I'm going to tell you who I'm the most scared of in this match, and it's Landon Hale. Now, this is why. Landon Hale is a legit doctor. And he's crazy enough to do the shit that we have to do week in and week out. That SOB is crazy. I am so nervous about Landon Hale. Why does he do this? He's a chiropractor. Like, this is the worst thing to do. He's insane. That's how I feel about the match. I am terrified. That guy is nuts.
I guess you got to be a little bit nuts to be the national champion for ACW, guys. So, but you're coming into a historic building. Do you know some of the history about what you're about to walk into, too, that you could be a part of this history on May 17th?
I mean, I've heard a bit. I heard of that arena before, but I want to hear a little bit more. Like, fill me in. Now, what am I walking into? What the Hallowed Halls?
The Hallowed Halls. So we had the Macho Man debut there in Poughkeepsie. Okay. He also debuted Miss Elizabeth there in Poughkeepsie. Andre the Giant, Big John Studd shaved his head in the middle of the ring. That's when he went from the long hair Andre to the short hair Andre. Happened in that building.
All-time moment.
The Hart Foundation debuted there. And then the list goes on and on.
They beat a few people.
So it's some hallowed grounds in there. So, I mean, you're being...
Let's add BTWB to the list. Why not?
I'm saying you could be a part of that history come May 17th. I mean, how does it feel that you could be the next Mr. America, the national champion for ACW?
It means the world. I mean, look at that card. That's a hell of a card. I don't know how these boys pulled this off, getting all this good-looking, great talent on one card, but they did. They didn't. So be the champion for that company? Come on. In the Hallowed Halls, in Poughkeepsie, New York, God's country. That would mean everything. That would be a career moment, Steve. Top career moment for BTWB. He's had a few. That'd be up there.
No, it could happen. One of your opponents, though, we talked to just recently. I want to tell you about this because there's some like Matrix thing happening where you guys have met before in this world. But Enzo, he said, his first match outside WWE was in this building. And my first indie, because Cass went back to rehab, he took all of his bookings, and that's how he ended up doing the indies at first. The first one it didn't work. He showed up as Eric and explained that Cass was going through some stuff, and while he was there, and it was in Maryland, I believe. When it got done, this 7-foot kid came up to me said he was struggling with some stuff, but he wanted to be a wrestler, and he encouraged him to try it. And that kid was you, Ben Bishop.
He was. He
So
was. Now that's for the most part. Yeah, man. I mean, here's something I'll say to pull the curtain back is I was always an athlete, played basketball at the University of Vermont, and I always had goals to achieve. Played a little bit of Australian football. Just kind of fell in a rut, man. It was like tough. I didn't really have anything else, and it was like a 9 to 5, and that's it. That's it. And I was always a huge fan of Cass and Enzo when they were together in the WWE. Thankfully, I was listening to Busted Open that day on that Friday in 2019. I hear him talking. He's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to be in Baltimore, Maryland tonight." And I was, I lived in Columbia, Maryland, so I was like, "Hey," my wife was dog sitting for a friend. I'm like, "I'm going to go to this show," and yeah, that's exactly. He was the reason I went to that show, and I ended up meeting James Ellsworth. He trained me and helped me out, and yeah, the rest is history. Now look, like I said, the dream right here with you, Steve, with you.
And now you're coming almost full circle. Now you're going to be wrestling
Isn't it crazy?
Enzo in Poughkeepsie, one of the historic arenas in the world.
That's wild, man. It's weird how life works sometimes, doesn't it?
I'm saying. So you never know what's going to happen. But take me back a little bit to your social media, because that's how I discovered you. I like wrestling. I like comedy. It was part of my algorithm. It just happened right there. So now I see this wrestler doing these videos, and I'm like, who is this guy? Because this is ridiculous. You're hilarious.
Thank you.
You got to follow for me, because I was watching all this because I love wrestling and I love comedy, and you best of both worlds mixed together. So tell me a little bit about this. How did you start doing it? Is this like you were wrestling and wanted to just get more attention kind of a thing, or what?
Yeah, a little bit of a little bit of that, but it was more I was just becoming so fed up with it, man. Like I was just, it was like middle of 2023, and I know I still wasn't. I was only about 4 years in then, and the business didn't owe me anything, but I'm just kind of like, man, I don't know where I'm going. I'm this tall guy. I'm keeping myself in shape, but I can't figure it out. Like I'm not, and I just decided that what else can I do? So I always make these jokes. I think I'm a pretty funny guy. On the road with in locker rooms, we kind of the back and forth banter things we kind of poke fun at in wrestling. And I'm like, why don't I just do that on camera and make some funny videos and just put content out, because I was like, oh, I'm posting clips of me doing a few moves here and there and some promo pics and action shots, and it wasn't doing anything. I wasn't growing. I was just Big Trouble Ben Bishop. What does that mean? And so now I was like, I'm just throw stuff out there, have fun and make myself basically a meme, in a way, and just show my personality in that sense, not just be that normal, oh, I'm a big 7-foot guy, I'm the man type thing. I think I'm the man, my own head, but but it's like I had to do something different. So I'm like, you know what? Let's put it out there, see what happens. Gets heat. Hey, I was gonna be fine, because I probably didn't want to do this anymore anyway. So I just said, gets heat, it gets heat. I get heat out of the business, sure. No, it ended up working pretty well. You followed me, so hey.
Hey, what was it like though? Maybe seeing your first video that kind of went viral, if you will. What was that like to you? Like, oh my, what's happening? Did you have that kind of a moment? Like everybody's liking this?
Kinda. It was kind of like a slower build, because I had a lot of videos. They were it'd be 800 to 1200. I'd be excited if we get to 2,000 views. I'd be like, all right, that's great, it's great. And then all of a sudden they started, okay, boom, 6,000. Okay, wow, oh my God, whoa, 8, okay, 9, 10. Then it starts to slowly start going up. And then, what it kind of culminated in was last year in for AEW, when I had the match on Rampage, RIP. But, I had that match on Rampage, and I was like, I got to maximize my minutes somehow. So I was like, I'm going to have, this match is going to be what it is. Have it, but I gotta do something. I gotta think of something. So I just started, things in my head, the highlight reel, watching the match with my wife, and just kind of started snowballing from there. So it was just kind of like a gradual build, and realizing, okay, I got something here. I got something. This is kind of now working and actually getting me more attention than I've ever got before, of just being a 7-foot wrestler. Because everyone tells you, oh, you're gonna get all this attention, but you know what? You got to do something different these days, and that was it for me, being an idiot on the internet.
No, yeah, and you kind of remind me of a Zack Ryder, because Zack Ryder kind of did not something similar, but in a different era, if you will, of what, and he's going to be on the card May 17th too.
Who's that? Who's Zack Ryder?
Well, I'm Matt Cardona. I know. What am I saying? I know, but the Long Island ZTV, whatever
Oh,
the.
I loved it. I loved it. He was the pioneer of social media for wrestlers. He was.
So it's like us. I feel like you're in those shoes now. I feel like you're the only one that's really doing it really well. So
I'm trying. There's a few people. I'm noticing more and more people though. I'm noticing more and more people trying to get on the train because Matt's obviously on the indies doing his thing, and he's telling these indie wrestlers, stop being like personalityless, like dumps, dude. Like get up and do something.
yep.
Like like you don't have to don't rely on just having one or two bookings every week, and wrestling. Like it's not gonna get you over, man. You gotta build your brand. And I'm seeing it kind of upticks. That's good. I love that.
No, definitely. I think now the real question is, how much does your wife hate it, or has she accepted it by now?
She's accepted it. And now she just knows. She'll like hear me upstairs like doing a video. And she's just like, can you just at least shut the door? Like,
We've
she's involved. She's involved the one that went the most viral. So, two of them that did actually on Twitter and on Instagram. So she's a star. I mean, for the amount of videos that she's done versus how many I've done, her view level, her average is way higher than mine.
Well, you got to thank your wife for letting you,
Thank her for the house,
world,
man.
right?
I'm thanking her for the house.
Definitely. No, we're talking today about being like WrestleMania hungover, right? We just got over this
Yeah.
weekend. We can't wait for WrestleMania. But did you get to see all 68 plus hours or whatever it was of WrestleMania like we did? Just being hungover as a fan of all the content you got to take, watch this week. As a wrestler, though, what's WrestleMania week like to you? Maybe I know you're wrestling down in Nashville this weekend. I know it's not in Las Vegas as with the craziness, but what's it like wrestling on WrestleMania weekend? Is it kind of like, everybody wants to see wrestling that weekend, right?
It's cool, yeah, and that's the thing. Everyone's got wrestling on their mind, right? They see the big press tour all week, and you got people on different podcasts on ESPN. And so if you got somebody like I was in Nashville, you get someone in Nashville who's just like, oh, man, I'm so excited for wrestling. I can't get out to Vegas, but there's a show down the street. We're fired up. We'll watch. No one's running Saturday night, right? No one's going to run Saturday night. I know indies are running that night, but the night before, everyone's in that wrestling state of mind. Oh, let's go to a live show. Let's have fun before we watch WrestleMania on TV. So it adds a lot, not just in Vegas. People don't think that. It's a good idea to run that Friday for people who can't be out there. But next year, man, I'm going to do it. I'm going to hoof it down in New Orleans, not too far. It's about a 6, 7, 8 hour drive from my house. So I'm going to be there, and I'm going to try to get out there next year and get myself booked. Holding like a cardboard sign out, and we'll work for free, right?
You'll be booked. We'll get you booked. I think there's
you will. Yeah, you're the ones that get me booked. Okay,
we're gonna book you.
You running the show, brother?
You got it. This is it. So you debuted about 6 years ago or so. I think we were talking before. So you kind of you were in that era of Cena was still kind of big at that time, in a way, if you will, a little bit. So now he just won his 17th championship, surpassing Ric Flair. I guess how do you feel about it being a wrestler and whatnot? But more importantly, how do you think Ric Flair feels about it?
Well, I know Ric Flair was he'll publicly say that it's all good. But I know that Ric Flair's been a competitor his whole life, even in our funny world of professional wrestling. He's a proud guy, and I would be proud of that too. No one wants to see their record be broken, right? No one wants to see that. So it's only fair if he's not a big fan of that. That's totally fine. I forget who the football player was who celebrates every time. It's from the Dolphins. I think it was Mercury Morris. Where every time the last football team finally gets lost, that's been winning all season.
Yeah.
He's the first one to get excited. You see him like popping champagne. He'll like post it on social media. I don't think Rick was going to do that by any means, but well, maybe. But no, I think to me that I think it was needed. The guy's put in like countless years of work. He was a top guy for over a decade, and that's hard to do. That doesn't happen with anybody. So, I mean, kudos to him, man. he deserves it. I think if anybody does.
Sure. Like I said, we're kind of like WrestleMania hungover, but there was something we were talking about last weekend on the show that I think we were robbed of this year as fans. And I mean, you as a man from comedy as well would probably appreciate this, but the whole, I think it was the Kill Tony show or the Tony Hinchcliffe show.
Yeah.
They had a roast or whatever they were doing this weekend, but it wasn't televised. And after I heard some of the stuff, I couldn't see why it's not televised. But do you think, that this age that we are growing up in wrestling, like the older fans kind of want to see this now? And do you think
I think so. I think also, understanding what a roast is and understanding who Tony Hinchcliffe is, I think that was lost in a lot of people because I think he does have I wouldn't say a niche audience, but like if you're not into comedy, you really won't know who Tony Hinchcliffe is. And I think he just has that certain brand of comedy. I mean, listen, man, it's hard to say. It does get me a little upset because I know we just grew up in a different era when things were still a little different when it came to comedy, but times change, so I think you just gotta, and I think everything needs to evolve in that sense. I think you can keep to certain aspects. I don't think anything should go overboard, or I don't think we have to be 100% PC like all the time. I think there's room there's room there. There's like a gray area it's not just all black and white, So I do really think that, but you still got to change. You got to change. And like wrestling has to change, so does that. We don't have like Gobbledygooker and the Repo Man running around in wrestling anymore, right? Like that had to change too. So, just so the comedy does too. And, I know a lot of comedians will say, in this sense of like, oh, everyone's getting too soft. And yeah, there's definitely part of that. People are getting a little, I think it's not that they're getting more something, they're just more vocal.
Yeah.
Now. That's what it might be. So but you just gotta toe the line every now and then. So
no, for sure. Ben, it's a quick little night. We barely scratched the surface. We definitely want you back on here, but any last words you could tell the fans of Poughkeepsie on May 17th when they come out and see you for ACW's Aftershock?
Last words. I mean, you're looking at the first natty champion of ACW in God's country of Poughkeepsie, New York. You are going to get to check out the man who stands at 6'12" and weighs in at 15% of a metric ton. Meat popping, jaw dropping, earthquaking, pillars shaking. The man you come to see, the man made for TV. That's right. His name is BTBB, Big Trouble, Ben Bishop. And I will see all you beautiful people of Poughkeepsie, New York on May 17th.
Ben, man, thank you so much.
That was pretty good. Wow, I surprised myself. That's an A+ intro.
One take, Ben. That's it. Print. That's it. We got it. That's it. That's it, man. Perfect.
Awesome Championship Wrestling returns to the MJN Convention Center in Poughkeepsie on May 17th with Aftershock, presented by Aspire Brewing and Mid-Hudson Pump. In action, you'll see the ACW World Champion Richard Holliday defend his title against indie god Matt Cardona. The crowning of the ACW Tag Team Championship will take place inside a steel cage as Poughkeepsie's own The Now take on Sent to Slaughter. You'll experience history as the first ACW Women's Champion will be crowned in an elimination match featuring Kelly Madden, Vicky Venuto, Tiara James, Tina San Antonio, and former WWE superstar Indy Hartwell. On the card, you'll also see Real One, formerly known as Enzo Amore, TNA wrestling stars Moose and Mike Santana, ECW legends Tommy Dreamer, Danny Doring, Little Guido, and Joel Gerdner, wrestling legend Crowbar, straight from Jersey Shore Family Vacation, Zach Clayton, and many others. Tickets can be purchased through Ticketmaster, or you can save on fees by visiting the MJN box office in person or buying over the phone. VIP meet and greet packages and more can be found at thisisacw.com.